speeding and you're fucking running through red lights and they hit the lights and you still don't stop, and finally you decide, all right, I'll stop. You'll run into a cop that's pissed off, or you'll run into a cop that's having a bad day.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yep.
I used to tell people this all the time, like family and friends. I said, listen, even if you think the cop's wrong, just do what he's telling you to do. His badge number, his name, his star, all that shit's going to be on a ticket. Go and make a complaint.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way you're going to win it. The moment you run your mouth, he's going to write you for this, write you for that, write you for this, write you for that. Even the most asshole cops that I've seen, now I'm just speaking on myself, even the most asshole cops somewhere will say, listen, this guy's got 5 things I could write him for, probably even impound his car. I'm just going to write him for 1 or 2. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I could write him for this,
Yeah.
or I could write him for all of it.
How many people,
like if you're...
This is a problem, and it's not going to stop in America, and it blows me away. The first time I came across this issue was probably about 5 years ago. No, it was before 5 years ago. It was probably like 2018, and I was on a page I had for Facebook, the law enforcement content, and I put up a question, and I said, how many of you, cops that is, because it was a majority of my audience was police officers, how many of you based your citation issuance off of the attitude or words of the driver? Now, a driver could, you could pull someone over as a cop, and you could sit there and say, hey, you ran that red light. The cop said, and the driver said, yes, I did run that red light, officer. And they're admitting it. And they still have to go to court. They got due process. And that could be your decision. Okay, I'm going to write you a ticket. I appreciate that. There could be admission, right? There could be denial. Doesn't make a difference. But I was fundamentally asking, how many of you issue your citations on the words from the driver, which equate to attitude, right? And the majority of them, hundreds of comments from cops who to this day, still it is a discussion left and right. Absolutely, I do. 100%. If you've got a bad attitude, I'm writing you a citation. If you argue with me, I'm writing you a citation. If you just sit there and you give me shit, I'm writing you a citation. Which I don't know how any clearer that's a violation of the First Amendment and free speech. We're seeing a massive phenomenon going on lately, which is if you're political, and I'm not. I am now a center. I think both the liberal left and the conservative right, I think they're both the two problems in America. They are fueled with emotion, and I want no part of either of them. But we've started to see, and I'm not going to attribute play games, but years ago, it was cancel culture got started. You could say that it was liberalism that would bring people and shame them and dox them if they said something online they didn't like, and they would go ahead and cancel them and get them fired. And we're seeing it now. Very recently in America, we had a tragedy. You know, an influencer, Charlie Kirk, was shot and killed. He was assassinated. And we saw conservatives then attack liberals who were celebrating in the comments of their social media or just posting, yay, Charlie Kirk is dead or whatnot. And you had conservatives completely acting as if the antithesis of what Charlie Kirk represented, which was free speech, free ideas, exchange of ideas, and they were demanding people be canceled. They would be publicly shaming them. This is so-and-so. They work at this place and they need to be fired and blah, blah. And I had started to put in the comment section what about free speech? What about free speech? And I was told over and over and over again, freedom of speech does not protect you from freedom of consequences. That's where we're at in America. Most of the people in the comment section, they want to see punishment to someone who doesn't align with their beliefs, their ideals, their morals. And that's a never-ending battle. It's never going to change. And they had said nonstop, freedom of speech applies only to persecution from your government. Well, law enforcement is a part of the government. Guys, if you're a cop, if you're new into law enforcement, and even if you're seasoned, for the love of God, and you write a pissing off the police ticket, I can't stress this enough. You are violating a citizen's First Amendment right. It doesn't matter if they tell you to go fuck your mother. It doesn't matter if they call you a racist. It doesn't matter if they call you short, fat, gay. What they say outside of information that has relevancy to the reason that you stopped them or to an investigation that can lead you to a righteous criminal investigation somewhere down the road, their free speech is protected. It blows me away. We have cops admitting today still, that they will write you everything if you piss them off. How much more blatant can we get in America than by saying your attitude on a traffic stop dictates whether or not you get citations? And we have our government allows us. And we call it discretion. Well, the officer thought it was their discretion at the time that the driver wasn't about to learn their lesson and they had to write him a ticket. That's not the cop's responsibility. The court's responsibility is the one to administer the proper disciplinary punishment, if you will, to determine the driver correcting their behavior. It sucks. When you're a cop, you have to remember, you're supposed to remain that perfectly balanced scales. Your job is to identify, to narrate, to collect evidence, to get the facts of the case involved, and use that discretion for righteous prosecution, not because your little fucking feelings got hurt on a traffic stop. You're violating the First Amendment. And what we need, to be honest, is we need some enterprising, young, aggressive criminal defense attorney to step up to the plate and start suing departments as much as he or she can for those cops who violate First Amendment. If this man was still a police officer, I would leverage this as Exhibit A, that every one of his traffic stops need to be scrutinized under a microscope. How do we do this today? How is it that you're so butthurt on the job that you're stopping someone? I mean, it's the talking tough, right? Saw a video of a nurse who just got fired because she's in the back of a squad car telling the cop when she was arrested for DUI that, you know, she's going to let all of his family members die if they come in to her ER. Of course, everybody's outraged. She gets fired for what she says, not freedom of consequences. Do I agree with what she said? No, but do I chalk it up to a mouthy drunk in the back of a squad car whose freedom was taken away, and she just was throwing every single type of just salacious verbal insult and attack at him to get him because that's all she had left? Yes. That's what it is. And if you listen to the audio video, you hear the cop instigating her, but nothing's going to happen to him. Nothing's going to happen to him because we are selective with our outrage about who we want or who we allow to have proper constitutional amendments protection versus who isn't. Look, if you're in law enforcement, I don't know how to tell you this. Stow your shit. Your job is to be the absolute best version of yourself and protect and uphold the Constitution. That includes your fragile little fucking ego when you're on a traffic stop. You cannot write someone 20 tickets every month at POP, pissing off the police tickets, just because your little ego got hurt. It doesn't work that way. And again, we do need criminal prosecution. We need to find, this is the only way this will change, because again, that was 2018. You fast forward many, many years later, and here we are, cops still doing it, which shows their lack of intelligence, their lack of awareness, their lack of knowledge to even, they're swearing an oath to the Constitution that they clearly don't know it is. We need federal criminal charges brought against police officers who violate the First Amendment. It's pretty cut and dry. That's the only way this changes. Oh, I need to have made my decision to write a citation before I even get out of the car. Doesn't fucking matter. You're going to be a nice cop. You're going to have a good day. I'm giving you a verbal warning today. My views on traffic stops have always been the same. You stop somebody for the action and the behavior. Ma'am, just to let you know, you blew that red stop sign back there. Do me a favor. Don't do it again. You can do nothing after she leaves that scene. You could write her 50 tickets. You have no control when she leaves the scene about it, whether or not she's going to wind up blowing the stop sign in the next town over. All you can do is stop. That's a seizure, Fourth Amendment. Correct the behavior by telling them, just to let you know, it's 35 miles an hour on this road. You were doing 50. I would appreciate it. Slow it down. Obey the speed limit. Have a great day. That is policing. Anything else is revenue generation. And last I checked, you don't get a percentage of the tickets you write. You simply get to feel good because you're exerting your power over someone else. That's tyranny. That's tyranny. How this is still a problem in America, I don't know. But if you're going through the academy, if you're thinking about becoming a police officer, if you are currently a cop and your wife is giving you shit at home, your kids don't listen, you go to work, I know how bad brass is. Trust me, I get it. Brass is the worst thing for you. They stress you out like crazy. I get, and some of you are experiencing this, what it's like to be physically ill from what your department does to you. You're finding it out. Don't take it out on the citizens you serve. You stop somebody, you literally kidnap them. You literally, here's somebody going about their day. You have the power to swipe them up off from what they're doing and stop them from being free. You have that power. Of course, they're going to be in a bad mood. Of course, they're going to go, And everything is subjective. If you pull me over and I say nothing to you and I don't even make eye contact with you and give you my driver's license, you're going to consider me being a dick and write me everything to teach me a lesson? You can't. You can't do it. I have done many videos on this topic, and I'm going to have to keep doing many videos more because no one seems to understand that free speech is there to protect citizens from government overreach. You are the government. You're a branch of that government, right? State, county, local, federal. Now, not a lot of federal cops I'm aware of do traffic stops, but for the love of God, your job is to uphold the Constitution. I need to plant that seed in you. I need to sit there and have you understand the nature of traffic stops in and of themselves is not for you to correct someone's behavior. That's the courts. If it was up to you, bring them out of the car, take out your monadnock or your asp, and you whip them 10 times until classical conditioning says, yes, I have learned a lesson. It's not your job, though. You can't do it. The public is going to be the worst help for you on this as well because they think it is your job to correct the behavior of the citizens. They think that every time you administer punishment or every time you wind up beating somebody, every time you choke them, every time you kneel on their neck, every time you handcuff, the public's going, that's right, they deserved it. Because the public is stupid. The blue line bootlicking crowd that supports you is not there to help you. They don't know what your job is. They're unbelievably uneducated, uninformed, and they're not intelligent. They're there to watch you as if you're their favorite gladiator show on a Saturday afternoon, chasing down what they would call the bad guy and watching you beat them. Anyone who is dumb enough to admit that they write people citations based off of the attitude of the driver, the argumentativeness of the driver, the failure to just whimsically obey the cop as far as I should be worshiped as the traffic stop cop, that's a domestic terrorist. That is a sadistic domestic terrorist. We have no room for that in America, and it needs to be reminded again. Free speech is absolute. To a degree. I know you can't yell fire in a crowded movie theater. You can't incite a riot. But when it comes down to your opinion, officer, just to let you know, I think you fuck sheep in the middle of the day when you're bored and your mother's a whore. The subject, the citizen, the person you pulled over has every God-granted right via our constitutionally protected amendments for them to say that. The First Amendment, it is free speech. And you, as the cop, need to fucking recognize that and obey your oath. This man, this is not the first video I saw him talk about this. This is from Wild Chaos Podcast. It blows me away that you have people who are admitting to this and getting away with it. This is any cop, definitively, in my opinion, who willingly violates the Constitution of the United States of America and the protected amendments of a citizen is a domestic terrorist. They need to be arrested and tried for treason and hung if they are convicted. You have all the power in the world as a cop. It's insane. It's insane. Some of you know it as a cop. We're seeing more and more cops getting away with murder lately. the amount of unarmed citizens that are being shot and killed by police because of the quality, the subpar quality of cops we have on the street is insane. It's insane. The power is unbelievable. If you're going to flex that power and you're going to purposely trample all over the rights of citizens, you deserve to be hung for your trouble. It's clear as day to me. You're a domestic terrorist. It's tyranny. You are a traitor. You should be federally charged, prosecuted, and if found guilty, hung until dead for willfully violating the Constitution and civil rights of American citizens. That's how serious I take it. I hope you consider, if you're in law enforcement, actually doing your job the right way. If you want to become a cop, you take this extremely seriously and understand you are there as a public servant to uphold your oath. You better know what that oath means. Dive into the Constitution and embrace it, and understand that this is the greatest job on the planet that affords you the first-hand responsibility of elevating yourself to the highest level of standards and excellence in any profession out there, and only you could do that. And stay away from guys like these who abuse their oath, tarnish the badge, and have sent this profession into a rotten orchard of bad apples.